We have witnessed the breakdown of parenting. Granted, every generation has had its shortcomings. However, years ago, it was uncommon for a child's preference to override their parents. Today, it is not. Parental authority has been transferred to children. Children's opinions and preferences matter as much as the parents. For example, Archie turned 16 and he was excited about getting his driver's license. However, his mother and father said he should wait until he gets more driving experience. He had a driver's permit which allowed him to drive with a licensed driver. Well, Archie disagreed. He got all upset. He kept asking. He said he was as good a driver as anybody and he wanted to go ahead and get his license. Archie got his driver's license. Carl and Judy's 17-year-old daughter Alice wanted to go on vacation with her boyfriend and his parents. Carl and Judy said they didn't think it would be appropriate. Well, Alice, she didn't agree at all. Eventually, Mom and Dad gave in and allowed Alice to go. A husband and his wife brought their 10-year-old son for counseling. At the conclusion of the first session, I asked if they wanted to make another appointment. Both parents expressed their need and desire to return. However, when their son said he did not want to come back, they didn't reschedule. Why do so many parents allow their children to have the final say? Many parents will say something like, well, good parenting includes allowing your child to decide for himself. That's how they learn and become responsible, right? Well, granted, you need to allow kids to make their own choices, but not in all situations. A child's desire should not overrule a parent's. A parent's job is to raise their children and be a shaping influence to them. Parents are God's agents in a task of providing training and instruction, quote, in the Lord, unquote, Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. Parents and their children are both under God's authority. They just have different roles. These roles have been clouded and in some cases reversed. A popular attitude of many parents today is to be a friend to their child. They think it's cool. They believe having an open relationship with their child strengthens the relationship overall. By stepping back and letting their child make their own decisions is helping their child. In some instances, parents don't want to deal with some of the issues their child has. They're exhausted after working all day, and then they get home and now they've got more work to do, and they have a home and a family to manage, and they don't need another issue to deal with. They discover it's just a lot easier to be a friend than a parent. Listen, God didn't call parents to be a friend to their children. God called them to be parents. Parents must make difficult and unpopular decisions. Friends do not. They carry a certain amount of responsibility for the actions of their children. Friends do not. There are times when they have to discipline their children. Friends do not. Yes, there are times when it's okay to let your child express their preferences and desires, but you are not obligated to abide by them. Play tag in the park with your children. Take them to the movies, act a little silly, but do it as their parent, not their pal. You see, when parents treat their children like a friend, they convey to them that they are their peers. Their opinions and preferences are on the same level as yours. You're not in charge any longer. There is no boundary then between parent and child. You're equals. You've allowed them as much to say about an issue as you. Without a child-parent boundary, it becomes difficult for your child to relate appropriately to you as well as other adults. For example, a parent that takes on a role of friend will usually fall in the habit of oversharing. Oversharing is sharing too much information with your child. Friends share personal thoughts, feelings, and experiences with one another, that they do not share with others. A mother and father that try to be their child's friend tend to create a relationship of familiarity that is improper. It conveys a vulnerability that tells the child that mom and dad are just like him or her. Oversharing is risky. When you talk about your struggles and weaknesses, it may appear that you cannot handle your own problems. You risk losing the respect of your child. You risk your child becoming burdened by what you've told him. Children are not mature enough to understand some of these things. They struggle with their own feelings and difficulties. Don't weigh them down with yours. Another important point is the risk of the problems it creates between you and your spouse. Your husband or wife should be your confidant, the one that you share your feelings and experiences with. In addition, it can create a close relationship with one parent at the expense of the other parent. Boundaries, limits, and structure are necessary elements to parenting. The Apostle Paul, speaking about children and the parent's responsibility, says, "Bring them up." The primary influence in a child's life should be the parents, not other children, not school teachers. Bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord, Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. The words "of the Lord" help parents understand how unique the Christian view of parenting is. The goal is not just to raise kids to adulthood. It's not just to raise kids to be morally responsible. All these are certainly included. But the greatest desire is that they trust Jesus Christ as their Savior. The breakdown in parenting has led to an alarming breakdown in discipline. It's more difficult to discipline your child when you cultivate a friend relationship over a parental relationship. A friend is your equal. A friend's role is not to punish you for misbehaving. Rebellion against authority at the family and parenting level has led to an overall breakdown in society. It's not just that children do not like being under authority and not getting their own way. The ultimate problem is that many parents do not like being under authority. They passively allow the child more and more say so. They love their children. However, they're not providing the guidelines and rules that their children need. Obviously, this does not mean that they cannot have a loving and friendly relationship with their children. It simply means that you are the parent, the authority. If you try to be his or her friend, you will struggle in your attempt to set boundaries and enforce rules. You are setting them up for failure and trouble. Because you see, in the real world, there are boundaries and rules. As the parent, you can provide your child with choices. You may talk about certain decisions that need to be made and get their input. But you are the parent, and you make the decision. As children get older and mature, it's good to give them more and more responsibility and decision making. It should come slowly at first. Too much control in the beginning will cause them anxiety and distress. Although my children are grown and have their own children, I maintain an adult-child-parent relationship. My wife and I love our children and our grandchildren. They still see us as mom and dad. They still come to us with their difficulties and feelings. Yes, I share things with them that I never shared when they were young. However, I do not overshare. At the end of the day, we all want to have a loving and close relationship with our kids. The good news is you can, but not as their friend. You can really help to promote my channel by clicking the following me and liking this video. Share it with friends. Thank you for watching.